we'll continue by queering up drag culture. Wilton collective drag turnabout receives threats, and the DeSantis doublespeak. You would think that it would be a good news story when the Wilton collective announces a fundraising campaign on Friday night for Julian's Fountain of Youth. The cause was for a trip for LGBTQ plus youth to go to Walt Disney World. The $45 cover donated to the nonprofit 501c3 included free food and open bar. The fundraiser was sponsored by Imperial Sun Court of all Florida. The organization started to receive veiled threats that so many other LGBTQ plus events have received in Florida and around the country. The event was a turnabout that advertised, quote, watch as your favorite youth and staff dress and perform in drag king, end quote. Soon there were allegedly questions from Governor DeSantis' office. Calls and comments included words that suggested the event would be closed down if it actually occurred. Governor Ron DeSantis has threatened our house in Wynwood, Broward Center for the Performing Arts, and others for having drag shows that allowed minors present. A show in December with the Christmas performance of a group of queens from RuPaul's Drag Race has received the state's attention. They have suggested that Orlando Philharmonic Plaza violated state law by having minors in attendance and have threatened their liquor license would be suspended. The Wilton collective drag turnabout had no interaction with protesters or any state agency. Wilton City Commissioner Chris Caputo was a celebrity bartender for the fundraiser, and Wilton City Commissioner Don Diamino and his husband, Mark Maturana, prepared and donated all the food. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department was visibly present with a police officer and car on Wilton Drive placed with lights on in front of the Wilton collective. You know, this was just to raise some money for kids to go to Disney. Okay, and they had to put cop cars outside and get added security for this. And it's not going to be the only one targeted. All our events are being targeted at this point. And it's had to, our house has security. Every place now has had to get additional security out of their own money. That's not money that they're getting anywhere, any help with, because of things like this. Now, kudos to Wilton Manors Police and Wilton Manors commissioners and our law enforcement, all those that come and support us at these events, because that way it makes our people feel safe, you know, because, I mean, it's not an easy time. It really isn't an easy time. And, you know, kudos to Jay Foy for still having the cojones to put this together, because I don't know if I would. If I was threatened by DeSantis, you know, and his goons, I'd probably be like, well, maybe I shouldn't have this fundraiser tonight, you know, and they still did, and it was still successful. So congratulations to all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think this is absolutely the time when we must not back down. We must not allow ourselves to be bullied into stepping back. I mean, I don't know what all of that means, but I know that we must continue to speak up, speak out, do drag, whatever it is, because this is part of the same story as the previous one about the books. It's coming from the same gaslighting.
You know,
thing.
Dale, I'm curious, coming out of, and all respect, of your generation, my generation.
What do you mean by that?
Doesn't this remind you of the height days of AIDS when we had to have an act up because otherwise there was capitulation? That,
you know, I mean, you know, it's hard for me to even like compare, but I would say that the common thread is ignorance on the other side, because it's ignorance, because they're fighting something they don't even understand or know. I mean, I just that threw me for a loop. I don't know, but that was it was just an interesting. Because, you know, in our being of this generation, we've seen this kind of thing come and go a lot over the decades. Yeah. But this, to me, seems...
Her name was Anita Bryant.
Right. But this seems to me to have escalated to some of the worst I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Which is pretty shocking.
It seems to me like what we need is also parental support. People who are parents of queer and trans youth, because that's where they're attacking us from right now, is attacking us from the parental front. My child, I want my child. And so now it's time for those of us who are parents of just children in general to actually band together and start creating committees and groups, just like the Moms for Idiots who are partnering and going about their way. We should also employ the same political tactic.
You know, I first started hearing about this and these rumors of the protest comments, et cetera, about a day in advance. And I went to the collective. I spoke to Julian in his office, and I said, the stuff I'm hearing, is this true? And yes, it is true. And the remarks that were made. I went to the event on Friday, and it might as well have been a Sunday afternoon tea social. It was so
mellow.
You know, you know, when you think of the hard edge of, you know, a RuPaul Drag Race show, this is the Wilton Collective saying we're supporting our youth to go to Disney, and one of the leading drag queens that is not a drag queen, but it's a turnabout, is Miss S&H Green Stamps. And is in a dress of S&H Green Stamps.
I love it.
You know, it's cute, and the support of it is we lose sight of what we're doing because of the threat. You're grooming. Wait, how is that happening? In explanation, and one of the things I want to point out, which is the real crime of what did happen on Friday night and leading up to Friday night, is nothing happened. But the fact that nothing happened wasn't the crime. You remember in Putin's Russia when Pussy Riot was arrested, and the international reaction and Madonna's reaction, but that was only the start. It gets worse and worse and worse to begin to craft a message that there are no gay people in Russia. And that if you talk about gay, you're creating propaganda for the gay community, to the point where now, today, Putin has absolute control on the subject of LGBT. How do you do it? You threaten, we're going to close your event. There's no intent to do that.
Yeah.
It's the chill effect of the threat that is so successful. That's what wins on Friday night. It had no effect on the event at all. But to the point of the chill, it makes us all think, is it worth doing this? Because
it puts a damper on all of it.
All of it.
Poor kids.
That's the crime of what happened on Friday night. And if you think that didn't happen, in my opinion, you're mistaken, because you're not seeing what's really going on here. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.